He wasn't a general. He didn't command armies. Yet his name spread through Allied camps like a warning, whispered in fear. Otto Skorzeny. The scar-faced commando who could strike anywhere, wearing any uniform, leaving nothing but chaos behind. The man Hitler called his most dangerous weapon. And his story is one of ambition, brilliance, and darkness. Because Otto Skorzeny didn't just fight battles, he rewrote the rules of war itself. Vienna, 1908. The city of elegance, music, and growing tension. Among its narrow streets was a boy who dreamed not of art or politics, but of strength and order. His name was Otto Skorzeny. As a young man he studied engineering. He was intelligent, disciplined, and obsessed with physical perfection. But more than that, he was drawn to power. He joined fencing clubs, fought duels, and carried home the scar across his cheek like a badge of pride. It would become the mark that made him famous and feared. When Germany swallowed Austria in 1938, Skorzeny saw destiny unfolding. He joined the SS, quickly rising through its ranks. To his superiors he was everything the Nazi elite wanted: loyal, confident, physically imposing, and utterly without fear. But what truly set him apart was how he thought. He didn't believe in traditional warfare. He believed in surprise, deception, and psychological impact. He wanted to fight the kind of war that lived in the enemy's mind long after the bullets stopped flying. By 1943 the war was turning against Hitler. Italy had collapsed, Mussolini was overthrown, and the Führer was humiliated. The Italians had locked Il Duce in a hidden mountain resort, far above the clouds, guarded by troops who would die before letting him go. Hitler needed someone who could do the impossible. So he summoned the man with the scar. At the wolf's lair, Hitler pointed to a map and said only one sentence: "I want Mussolini back. You will get him for me." Skorzeny saluted. He didn't ask how. He simply said, "Jahl mein Führer." Hunting the prisoner. For weeks, Skorzeny scoured Italy. He flew reconnaissance planes across mountain ranges, studied intercepted messages, and interviewed locals under disguise. Then he found it, a plateau high in the Apennines, unreachable by road, reachable only by cable car. Campo Imperatore. A luxury hotel turned fortress. It was perfect for a prisoner who wasn't meant to be rescued. Skorzeny returned to Hitler with his plan. He wouldn't storm the mountain. He would fly onto it. September 12, 1943. The morning was silent, the air thin and still. Above the mountains, a dozen gliders released from tow planes began their silent dive. No engines. No noise. Just wind and nerve. Each one carried a handful of German paratroopers led by Skorzeny himself. They slammed into the slopes just meters from the hotel. Before the stunned Italian guards could react, the commandos charged through the doors. Inside, Mussolini sat staring out a window, a broken man, unaware that history was about to burst through his door. It did. A tall officer with a cut down his cheek stepped forward and said calmly, "Il Duce, the Führer has sent me to rescue you." Not a single shot was fired. The Italians surrendered without a fight. Outside, the escape was pure madness. A tiny German Fiesler Storch plane waited on a slope that barely qualified as a runway. Skorzeny crammed himself into the cockpit beside Mussolini. The overloaded aircraft hurtled down the grass, dropped into a dive, skimmed the treetops, and lifted free. They had done it. By nightfall, Mussolini was in Berlin, standing beside Hitler. The impossible had happened. German newspapers exploded with headlines: "Mussolini freed by daring SS raid." Photographs of Skorzeny, tall, broad-shouldered, scar-shining, appeared on every front page. Hitler called him the bravest man of the Reich. Even the Allies were impressed, if not horrified. In one day, Skorzeny had become the most famous commando in the world. His methods, infiltration, precision, and psychological dominance, were unlike anything the old generals understood. He wasn't fighting to win ground. He was fighting to win fear. And Hitler wanted more. Within weeks, Skorzeny was put in charge of a new unit, Kommandoverband Skorzeny. It was an elite formation drawn from SS and Luftwaffe volunteers, men willing to die behind enemy lines. He trained them to speak enemy languages, forge documents, and move like ghosts through chaos. They studied Allied weapons, vehicles, and communication systems. They practiced swapping uniforms, sneaking past sentries, and turning deception into a weapon sharper than any blade. But this was more than training. It was preparation for something extraordinary, a mission so audacious that it would blur the line between war and terror. Skorzeny wasn't just creating soldiers. He was creating shadows. By late 1944, the Allies had pushed deep into France. Germany was cornered. But Hitler refused to surrender. He ordered one last massive counterattack, the Ardennes offensive. And for it he needed Skorzeny again. This time the mission wasn't rescue. It was deception. He would take his commandos, disguise them as American troops, and send them behind Allied lines to spread chaos, confusion, and fear. The plan was called Operation Greif. And it would turn Otto Skorzeny into the most hunted man in Europe. Snow fell quietly over the Ardennes. It was December 1944, and the Allies believed Germany was finished. But deep inside the Reich, Otto Skorzeny prepared his most ambitious mission, Operation Greif. Its goal wasn't to destroy armies. It was to destroy trust. His men would wear captured American uniforms, drive Allied jeeps, and slip behind enemy lines pretending to be US soldiers. They would switch road signs, cut phone lines, send false orders, and turn the front into pure confusion. If it worked, no one would know who was friend or foe. And fear alone would paralyze the enemy. At dawn, as the Battle of the Bulge erupted, Skorzeny's commandos rolled out in stolen jeeps marked with white stars. Their English was broken, their slang clumsy, but in the chaos of war it didn't matter. Tanks roared past, shells fell everywhere, and the fog of the Ardennes hid everything. They changed road signs to send convoys into ambushes. They gave fake directions to artillery units. They cut wires and spread rumors. Patton's men are retreating, the bridges are gone, the flanks collapsing. And it worked. By nightfall, American divisions began to panic. Reports flooded in, Germans in US uniforms, spies, saboteurs, infiltrators. No one trusted anyone. The fear spreads. Every checkpoint in Belgium turned into a test of identity. Soldiers demanded passwords and baseball trivia. What's the capital of Illinois? Who won the World Series? Those who hesitated were arrested, sometimes shot. Even Allied generals weren't immune. At one checkpoint, a US officer was detained for several hours because he couldn't remember the right state nickname. Then came the rumor, a whisper that chilled every command post. Otto Skorzeny himself was behind enemy lines, and he was coming to assassinate General Eisenhower. The Allied High Command went into lockdown. Eisenhower's headquarters was surrounded by barbed wire and tanks. Guards doubled. Roads closed. Every stranger was a suspect. The Americans searched everywhere, villages, forests, even their own ranks, convinced Skorzeny's men were watching from the shadows. And that was his greatest success. He didn't need thousands of soldiers to cause chaos. He only needed fear. The truth was far less dramatic. Only a few dozen of his men had made it through the front. But the panic they caused froze entire units for days. Trucks stopped moving. Orders went undelivered. And the Allies turned on their own shadow. When several of Skorzeny's disguised soldiers were captured, they were executed as spies, shot under the laws of war. They knew the risk when they volunteered. But the psychological toll was devastating. Even the captured ones lied under interrogation, claiming that assassination teams were still on the loose. The Allies believed it. And in believing, they helped the illusion spread further. Skorzeny's plan had achieved what no weapon could. It made the enemy afraid of their own reflection. The war's end. But the victory was short-lived. By January 1945, the Ardennes offensive collapsed under Allied firepower. Germany was bleeding out city by city. Skorzeny's commandos retreated through the ruins, still loyal to a Führer who refused to face reality. In April, Hitler was dead. Berlin was burning. And Otto Skorzeny, the face of Nazi special operations, surrendered to American forces. For the first time, the hunter was caged. In 1947, Skorzeny stood before Allied judges at Dachau. He was charged with war crimes, mainly for using enemy uniforms during combat. It was supposed to be a clear case. Impersonating the enemy meant death by firing squad. But the courtroom took an unexpected turn. British and American officers, veterans of their own commando missions, testified that they had used similar tactics behind German lines. If Skorzeny was guilty, so were they. The judges couldn't ignore it. Otto Skorzeny was acquitted. Freedom didn't last long. He was still wanted by other Allied agencies. So, under the cover of night in 1948, he vanished. Disguised as an officer, he walked out of the detention camp and disappeared into the chaos of post-war Europe. He resurfaced years later in Spain, under the protection of dictator Francisco Franco. The man the Allies once called Europe's most dangerous commando, was now a ghost living in plain sight. From Madrid, Skorzeny became a soldier without a country, a mercenary, an instructor, and a man with no allegiance except to war itself. He trained Egyptian commandos, advised Arab officers, and, according to some accounts, even worked briefly with Israeli intelligence to track down Nazi scientists helping Egypt build weapons. No one ever proved it fully, but the idea alone added to his legend. He was everywhere and nowhere, a living echo of the chaos he once commanded. By the 1970s he had grown old but never softened. He lived comfortably, proud of his past, unrepentant of his crimes. To the end, he believed that daring and deception were greater than morality, that fear was the truest weapon of all. He died in Madrid in 1975, surrounded by old comrades, with his scar still cutting across his cheek, the same mark that terrified an entire generation. Otto Skorzeny didn't win the war. He didn't even save the regime he fought for. But he changed warfare forever. His tactics, infiltration, disguise, psychological warfare, became the blueprint for modern special forces around the world. He proved that one man, armed with nothing but intelligence and nerve, could haunt entire armies. And that's why, even decades after his death, they still call him the most terrifying man in World War II.